right, now we're going to talk about how the price or value of your company is in a bit of a triangle shape. And so let me explain that. And it's too easy to think that there's going to be a fixed price and that's what you're going to be able to sell the company for. But in reality, the only things that are at fixed prices are products. You buy something on the store shelf and it's that fixed price. It doesn't change. So the other things that can be negotiated is simply like real estate, right? So we're used to real estate having a little bit of fluctuation of a price point being from here to here. So I'm going to put this as kind of a single point. Whereas real estate, you can negotiate, right, back and forth a little bit. But a business has a very wide range. And let's say that there's two kinds of buyers. Okay, I'm going to use two different colors to be able to kind of represent that. So I got to get the right colors. All right, so there's going to be the good buyer, which we're going to represent by green, and then we also have the negative buyer. So we think about real estate. Real estate is based on the appraisal. The appraisal takes into consideration dynamics of the house and then street curb appeal and then also marketplace dynamics or comparables of other homes that have sold. But businesses have a significantly different dynamic and a much wider range than an appraisal. That's why it's called a valuation, and that you're going to get kind of a generic number. So what I'm helping you with as a serial entrepreneur is I'm helping you set your expectation about the final price you're going to get or deal value versus the dollar that you think you're going to get at up front. And trust me, it's very frustrating as a business owner myself to think that my company is worth $1 when in reality somebody thinks it's worth much less than that and they try to negotiate that. So let me explain why that is that way. So you may have a good buyer that says, oh, you know what, that's the starting point. However, the value to them of your business may actually allow you to sell the business way up here. A strategic buyer or a roll-up buyer, somebody that's really hot after whatever it is that you have in your company, that's going to create great value to their business once they bought it. Now, trust me, a business broker or an investment banker who understands this dynamic and understands that kind of high value buyer knows exactly how to pitch your company so that even though you may have thought that your valuation dollar amount was here, they know how to take that buyer and drive them up here. So the value of the broker and the investment banker being involved this is where they earn their big dollars. Okay, so what's the problem with the bad buyer? The bad buyer, you think that you're going to start at a certain price, but unfortunately there may be situations that are going to drive down the price point, and so you find yourself making a deal that's a lot smaller dollar than you thought it was, and that's very, very frustrating. And of course this whole curriculum is to help you be able to know these dynamics ahead of time so that you're ready for them and you know how to negotiate. All right, so now what does that do to the range of the dollar amount? Now look, a fixed price here on that product, real estate can go from here to here. Now all of a sudden you realize, oh, wait a minute, the price of my business could be from here all the way to here. And so now you see why there's kind of this triangular dynamic to it. So as sellers, we need to realize there's a much wider variation of the final selling price of our companies than just what the dollar is from the valuation document or for conversation. And so hopefully that helps you be able to also understand how it plays into real estate. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to go into the 4 aspects that impact the valuation. And these are kind of big picture generic, so you can start thinking about this. Okay, so what is that's in the price point that's going to be changing everything? And so there's cash. And this is the easy one that we all think is going to be readily available and no problem. The other one, though, is going to be stock. Okay, there may be some stock or shares either from the selling company or the buying company that gets put into the deal and creates some value in the deal. Then there's going to be earnouts. Okay, And you may have heard about earnouts. I'm not going to go into too much detail right here, but that basically says, hey, you've got to be able to have the company meet certain goals or certain revenue hits or certain expansion, increase of business, so X percentage of time over a 6 month, 1 year, 2 year period. And as you earn out your purchase value of your company, you can only do so as you hit those milestones. So that is definitely a negotiable dynamic within your deal when you sell your company. Okay, now what's the fourth factor that gets in here is is all sorts of things. So I put etc. because there is a wild fluctuation of what a buyer perceives they do or don't want versus what we as the business owners are willing to do when we sell. For example, one of my companies, when they bought it, they saw some risk with a certain aspect of the company. And I said, okay, fine. You may want to reduce that risk, but you're going to have to pay for me to absorb that risk. So after X period of time, if that risk never came to be, then you're going to pay me more money over time than if you had just paid me a smaller amount right up front. And for them, it was worth it. They didn't want to carry the risk, but they were willing to pay a larger dollar amount after a certain period of time if the risk never came true. So every company is going to have something unique about it that within the negotiation of the deal, you're going to be able to recognize, oh, wait a minute, I can negotiate for some monetary value over that dynamic. It's the devil's in the details, and it's going to show up. Okay, so what I want you to remember from these four things is, remember we had a price point that started here with the valuation of the company, and we may have wound up down here, or we may have gone up here. Now, that variation right here, I want you to remember that it's not just cash that you're dealing with to set this. You want to consider putting in all of these other three aspects so that your total deal value is what gets done at the end of the day at closing. And so you may hear your broker talk about deal value, not just price. And this is what they're talking about. So as sellers, we need to be open to this. And as we get educated through the curriculum, you're going to be able to know, oh, wait a minute, that's how I can get more value out of the stock and negotiate that, et cetera, how to deal with earnouts, holdbacks, and all that kind of stuff.